Well, how is it that I can retire even before I'm 66 years old, 67 years old, old enough to get my Social Security? I am going to need that Social Security to be able to do this full time for long term anyway. How is it that I'm able to retire? Well, I'd like to say number one, because I have worked. I've had a job that's paid into Social Security since I was in 7th grade, all through junior high and high school. I had jobs. I've worked as an iron worker. Right after high school, I went to welding school, learned how to weld. I became an iron worker, which was my grandfather's occupation. As a pastor, I don't know that I would say I've been an incredibly successful pastor, but I have been a faithful pastor. I've worked hard at it, and so I have worked. And because I have worked, I have put away the money, and I have put away the finances so that I am able to retire. And secondly, I can retire because I opted to stay in Social Security. Now, this is a little bit of a controversial thing because pastors do have, at the time you get ordained, you have the opportunity to opt out of Social Security. But the way I understood it was that what you're doing is you're saying that you have a conviction against receiving that government aid. Not that you have a conviction against paying into it, but they have a conviction against receiving. I don't have a conviction against receiving the money. I have a conviction against paying into it. In fact, I know talking to pastors, what their conviction is they don't want to use the money they get from church to pay into the government because government abuses that money. But that isn't what the opt-out option gives you. It says you sign and agree that you have a problem against receiving that money, and you wouldn't take it if they offered it to you. And it's because I did not opt out all of those years, and I paid into it. It was a pain in the neck to pay. I didn't want to. A lot of guys were saying, well, they'll be out of money before you get old enough anyway. But the truth of the matter is, at some point, a lot of the pastors, when they realized they were aging and that there was going to be an opportunity opened up, they opted back into Social Security. They never did have a conviction against receiving that money. They just didn't want to pay it. And I did pay it. And because I have paid it all of these years, I am able at this point, when I turn 66 and 7 months, to receive really what will be a pretty decent sum. Between my wife and I, will receive just in Social Security about what the median income is here in Republic, Washington. The third reason I am able to retire is because, I bought a house and I kept it for 25 years. I paid down on it as best I could. I didn't get it completely paid off, but I was very, very close. I didn't trade my house in, try to get enough, use the equity to get a nicer house or nicer cars or anything like that. I just paid on my house and let that equity build. And so that when I did sell the house after 25 years, there's a substantial sum of money in it. And between Social Security and then using that as a supplement, it's going to make it where we have a relatively decent amount of money to use for retirement. One of the things I see so often anymore is people that use the equity and they just keep refinancing and refinancing and refinancing, looking for better deals and all of that. And every time they refinance, you get a little money to buy something new or something bigger or a new car or whatever. We just didn't do that. I'm not going to say we didn't use any of it at all, but I used it to help my kids' education and business and so forth. But for the most part, and for the greatest part, we just paid on our house. We lived in our house and we enjoyed our house and we paid on our house. The fourth and final reason I'm able to retire, it's humbling, but it's because of family. We've always been a strong family. I have 2 children. My wife and I have 2 sons, and we are a strong family. And my youngest son has worked as my assistant pastor all of these years, and now he is pastoring. So I'm able to retire and actually move to where he is pastor. And by combining our incomes and our lives as we always have, then a place to live is not going to be as much challenge. Right now we live in a fifth wheel. It's a 2021 Cougar 316 RLS, and we're going to live in it until we have small houses. Anita and I are going to build a tiny house on a piece of property that my son built and that I am helping to develop with him. I am helping him to pay for the development of that property. It's because of our cooperation, or because I have a good relationship with my children. My oldest son lives a little bit away, but not with more than a day's drive away. And because we have a good relationship with our children, we are able to retire a little bit younger.